Print servers in federal environments create risk and unnecessary complexity. Every new printer, location, or policy adds strain to infrastructure that was never built for today's demands. FedRAMP High Authorized Printer Logic eliminates print servers with a secure cloud-native, zero-trust solution designed for federal IT. With advanced security, centralized control, and simplified management, agencies can modernize print without added burden. See what secure serverless printing looks like. Visit Vasion.com to learn more.
Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
The AbilityOne program is coming under new scrutiny for allegedly skirting the Buy American Act and other federal acquisition regulations. The General Services Administration is asking the Commission and its partners like the National Industries for the Blind to submit a report by mid-November detailing how they're ensuring they are following federal acquisition laws and regulations. Federal News Network's executive editor Jason Miller joins me now to discuss GSA's concerns and what the AbilityOne Commission is doing about them. Jason, great to have you.
Thanks, Terry.
What really are the root issues here? What is GSA's concern?
The AbilityOne Commission has been around really since the 1930s. It got updated, the kind of regulations and rules around it in the 70s. And really, in many ways, Terry, this is a jobs program. This is a group of nonprofits, more than 100, that are kind of together under the AbilityOne Commission, providing jobs and manufacturing jobs and service jobs for people with disabilities, whether they're blind or they have other sorts of disabilities, they're in a wheelchair or they have some learning disabilities, that this is a jobs program in many ways. And for many years, this has also been a mandatory source. So if you're going to buy certain products, like pens is a very obvious one that we've all probably heard about, you have to buy pens from the AbilityOne folks who provide it. And if you don't, there's got to be a reason why. And what GSA is worried about is whether or not the products being sold through the GSA schedule that is being provided by the AbilityOne Commission and their partners is meeting the Buy American Act. Are they American made? Are they domestically sourced? And if they're not Buy American Act, do they have the right waivers? And is the country of origin part of that idea of, okay, does it meet the Trade Agreements Act? And are they country of origin coming from other places that we are friends and allies? And what GSA is very concerned about is that they're finding products that are listed on GSA platforms like the schedules as, quote unquote, essentially the same. And that's a policy that allows the AbilityOne to replace American-made products with other products that potentially are foreign sourced. And GSA is concerned that those foreign sources are China and other nations that necessarily are not as friendly to Americans. And obviously, this administration specifically has been very focused on the Made in America, the Buy American Act. And I think that's really what's driving this concern. And there's been a few examples that GSA points out in their letter to the AbilityOne where they say, hey, here's a product where the country of origin is clear that it was made in China or was made in Thailand or made in Taiwan. And to them, that's not appropriate when there are American made. And if there aren't American made, then why aren't you using those? And if they're not, what kind of waiver do you have? And then again, the other big concern GSA has highlighted in their letter is the country of origin says USA when in fact the country of origin is not. So I think they're asking for more details and more insights in terms of how's the AbilityOne Commission and its partners assuring that these products are indeed a country of origin, the USA, and or made in America.
It seems like if this is a jobs program for people to be making things in America, that would be what AbilityOne would be selling. So what exactly is GSA asking them to report on?
The commission has a deadline of November 12th to really kind of fill out, do a review and submit a report to GSA. And what this report will focus on is, okay, look at all the items you sell that you're putting on GSA Advantage in the schedules and make sure that they're listed accurately and correct the country of origin. And as well as use the Federal Acquisition Services Verified Product Portal. Make sure those two, it's one for one. Everyone's on the same page. And then any product that has an accurate country of origin that are currently certified, and make sure that they're not labeled NA or ZZ. So basically, make sure that they're properly labeled if they are accurate. And then discuss how the commission will complete continuous reviews to make sure they're consistently meeting Buy American country of origin standards and those regulations that are around that. And I think what GSA is saying here is we need to see that you guys are not just checking the box, not saying it's important, really kind of putting down the processes in place to ensure that these goals, these regulations, these laws are paid attention to in a manner not just once a year, but all the time.
Do you have an idea, Jason, of how big of a problem this is for GSA, either in total sales or total quantity or something like that?
It's hard to say exactly how big this is because the AbilityOne Commission and its partners, the amount of money that goes through them is not a whole lot. I did some back of the tablecloth math here. And if you look at, for instance, Terry, the total procurement, which is about $793 billion in contracts in fiscal 2025 for products and services, this is according to the Government Accountability Office. And remember, not everything is going to go through the AbilityOne Commission. But if you just look at how much they sold, which is about $4.7 billion, and you do the math, the AbilityOne Commission is about 0.59%, or just under 6.6% of the total program for total acquisition. And so it's hard to say how much money is really flowing through it. How much of a problem is it? Now, GSA will say they've done kind of an audit of themselves, and they found enough that is concerning. There's been some False Claims Act cases. They point to a 2021 case out of a Connecticut-based AbilityOne nonprofit called CW Resources that paid $600,000 to resolve a False Claims Act allegation that they were falsifying their annual certifications, claiming compliance with certain requirements under AbilityOne that they have to meet. So GSA has kind of these one-offs saying, hey, we feel like there's enough evidence that says this is a big enough problem that we want you guys to address it. Now, again, there's a lot of products on GSA's list, and they've been working hard, I would say, for more than a decade to really, through the Verified Products Portal, to address these Buy American Act, these domestic sourcing issues, not just from the AbilityOne, Terry, but really from across all products and service providers. And are you meeting the goals like you should be meeting them? Now, I talked to a former federal official who's very familiar with the AbilityOne Commission and the work that they do. And they feel like this is really just an attack on the AbilityOne program. They believe that this is being pushed by some political appointees in the Trump administration because this is not, one, a new problem, and two, this is a problem that they've been trying to address for many, many years. So to write the letter now seems to be placing a very bright spotlight on a problem that has been trying to be addressed for many years.
So, Jason, this letter and the report that AbilityOne will give back, is that sort of going to answer the mail, or is there more going on here?
I think there's more going on here. I think there is a lot of folks in the Trump administration, or at least some, who believe that the AbilityOne Commission is a big problem. I've been told that the National Council on Disability, which co-signed this letter, has been, if you will, anti the AbilityOne Commission, or not in favor of the AbilityOne Commission for some time. Ever since 2020, they've really been pushing to get kind of rid of the AbilityOne program. I think the idea behind it is, well, if these folks are competitive, the government should be buying competitive products and services, and they should compete and not have a mandatory source. If they want to provide jobs, if they want to provide manufacturing, they should do it, and they should do it in a way that is, within the capitalist world we live in. At the same time, I think the bigger question around this is there's been a lot of support for the AbilityOne Commission and the things they do, the jobs program that it provides. And, they're providing people with disabilities who may not get access to work in other places, important jobs. They provide important training for them. And there's people who come back from the military who have been discharged because they've lost a leg or they've lost their sight because of military action. And they're being given the opportunity to do more than just collect a disability dollars from the government, but actually doing work that matters. And in fact, several years ago, there was a push to create a 1% set aside for the AbilityOne Commission for all of government. Back then, I've been told the Defense Department specifically was in favor of this. However, that idea really never did move forward. So this is kind of a newer concern. Again, the former federal official that I talked to also tells me that the commission is setting prices based on ceilings and caps, based on fee distributors and wholesalers. This is not a wherewithal. We'll just set the price and we'll let it go. Additionally, the former federal official tells me that the AbilityOne Commission has been scrutinizing their products for some time and fixing these problems. And GSA even admits this in their own letter, that they have been having it back and forth and looking at this review and looking and improving the country of origin issue for several years. So why is GSA bringing this up now is kind of unclear to them. And the one last bit that I think is really important here, as I said, this AbilityOne Commission accounts for 0.65%, less than 1% of all procurement dollars. And this former federal official asks, hey, is GSA asking the same thing of Amazon, of Grainger, of Staples that are on the commercial platforms? Are they also meeting Buy American, domestic sourcing, country of origin requirements? And if so, let's see that letter, and let's see them, again, hold everyone accountable to the same level. And I think that's part of the concern here.
That's Federal News Network's executive editor, Jason Miller. Jason, it sounds like November will be the next time we check in on this.
I think so. And I think, again, it'd be interesting to see how Congress gets involved. This is an important program for a lot of states. And this provides, again, it's a jobs program in many ways. So you're right, Terry, there's a lot more to come from this.
You can find Jason's story at federalnewsnetwork.com.